Hi there, and we're back again. So, there have been several well-known names in the Calabrian Ndrangheta that have marked the history of this segment of Italian organised crime, and not only during the 20th century. And we, of course, on this channel have started to profile many of them. And these included Antonio Macrì, a criminal born in 1904, head of the aforementioned group, and head of the Commisso-Ndrina. It was he who gave birth to the Macri cosca, or gang, during the 1930s, which he led for more than 4 decades until his demise in 1975. The influence of this criminal group was based in the towns of Gioiosa Ionica and Siderno, both located in the province of Reggio Calabria. Now, the latter especially would later be the actual headquarters from which the Commisso-Macrì family would begin to expand its business worldwide. Macri can be described as one of the most impressive bosses of the Ndrangheta, precisely because of his ability to get his criminal group far beyond local and even national borders. So much so that he was later also called the boss of 2 worlds, thanks in part to the particular influence he had overseas. Now, many of you will recall that this is the same name of an older Sicilian mafia boss, Tommaso Buscetta, whom, of course, we profiled in another video that you should check out. But it was Antonio Macrì himself who sent Sidernese baker Michele Racco to Canada so that he could continue his business via the opening of a new bakery in Toronto, and also make him the main foundation of the expansion of this criminal group in the North American country, starting in the 1950s. So if we step back to a few decades prior, well before he began the worldwide expansion of his ndrina, Macri made himself a major player in his own right. At only 27 years old in 1929, he was given his first conviction for illegal possession of a gun. 15 years later, in 1944, he was first defined as the head of a criminal organisation based in Siderno that was also active around the town of Reggio Calabria. It was only at the end of World War II that Macri was also accused of leading a group that instilled terror in that same region of Reggio Calabria. As mentioned, his influence was such that he was able to slowly expand both in different parts of central and northern Italy and abroad, with particular concentration in North America, the United States and Canada, as well as South America, thanks to his contacts with various drug trafficking groups down there. And he did not limit the international expansion just to the Americas, but he was also able to reach the remote continent of Australia too. Macri remained closely connected to the world of Cosa Nostra, and in particular to 2 of the most representative bosses of the Sicilian mafia, called Salvatore Reina and Bernardo Provenzano. And of course, our channel has a lot of content on Reina and Provenzano, so do make sure to check those out. And moreover, thanks to his strong relationships with various members of the Sicilian underworld, it can be said that he was also particularly close to the activities of the Sicilian mafia. Specifically, his ties with the head of the Corleone clan in Sicily, Michele Navarra in the first place, and with Luciano Leggio later led him to be one of the main actors of what came to be known as the 1967 Locri massacre. Now, the Locri massacre took place on the 23rd of June 1967, and it was a shootout that occurred in the course of the morning and resulted in the death of Domenico Cordi, a member of the Cordi ndrina, Vincenzo Saracino, a member of the same family, and Carmelo Siciliano, an innocent victim who was unrelated to the criminal dispute. Now, in the course of the investigation, in addition to referring to a possible settling of accounts between the 2 dead men, it was also thought of a possible involvement of Antonio Macri, from whom Cordi himself took 1,700 of the 2,000 cartons of smuggled cigarettes sent by Cosa Nostra to the boss of the Sidernese cosca. And for this, he was arrested in 1968. But in 1972, both Macri and the 2 alleged hitmen involved in the massacre were acquitted for insufficient evidence. Macri himself died prematurely at the age of 70 because his decisions regarding the management of the Ndrangheta did not align with the broader interests of the organisation as a whole. If Macri in fact still wanted to limit himself to traditional criminal activities, the other cosca were planning to expand their business, starting to deal in other areas such as drug trafficking, which the Siderno group in Canada, the United States and Australia had already been exploiting to its advantage, so for many years. In addition, it appears that the Siderno boss was trying to thwart the rise of the new bosses. Doesn't that remind you a bit of The Godfather? Well, finally the boss was assassinated by machine gun fire in Siderno. And also wounded in that assassination attempt was his bodyguard Francesco Commisso from the family that after Macri's death would become one of the most influential Ndrangheta gangs in the world. Several families belonging to organised crime in Calabria, including the Cataldo family of Locri, the latter rivals of the previously named Cordi, the De Stefano family of Reggio Calabria and the Mazzaferro family of Marina di Gioiosa Ionica, commissioned the murder of Macri. And with his demise, it was his nephew, Vincenzo Macri, who took the reins of the family and the Siderno locale, but only briefly, and was then replaced by Cosimo Commisso. Cosimo took the lead in both the management of the Siderno territory and the partial administration of the various groups scattered across Canada, the United States and Australia. Well, the fall of Antonio Macrì led to the final escalation of the so-called First Ndrangheta War that was waged in the middle years of the 1970s, and that began a couple of months before the assassination of the Siderno ndrina boss. Well, this conflict lasted about 4 years, between 1974 and towards the end of 1977, and erupted over the killing of Giovanni Di Stefano and the wounding of Giorgio Di Stefano. After the elimination of 2 of the 3 bosses, Macri and Di Stefano, it was the killing of Mico Tripodo, the only one big boss left alive, that brought the peace, with a new course taking over from that period onward. What a tangled web of crime, families, war, revenge and power struggles. That's what makes this world as fascinating as a morbid criminal soap opera. Anyway, we've loads more videos coming up, so please don't forget to click that subscribe button and do tell others about the channel. We do appreciate it. And of course, keep your comments coming. We do love to read them. So until next time, ciao.